We're going to go live here. I just wanted to welcome everyone to the Acivda live chat. And I've just brought in a little bit of our team today to have a little bit of a chat on what's going on. What an unprecedented time. Corey, how are you feeling about everything right now?
Well, it's, as we probably, if we look forward a couple of years, this will probably have been, an incredible time, in the markets, in the world, with people's health, the exposure that people have. And it's like nothing we've ever really experienced in, arguably 100 years.
It certainly feels unprecedented. Brian, you've gone through a lot, and I think the whole point of having this conversation today and recording this, potentially pushing this up to our clients, is to just allow people to understand some of our experiences and to open this dialogue a little bit. You've gone through a lot in the past with your experience. Gone through 1999, you went through 2001, you saw the 2008. How are you feeling right now in comparison to those times? And what have you done differently, or what's your thoughts?
So I think the big takeaway from this event is the fact that it really has nothing whatsoever to do with economics. So unlike some of the situations in the past 47 years for me, it's really unique insofar as it's a medical reason. It really has nothing to do with the economy being bad or somebody doing stupid things or playing games with the economy or markets. It really has nothing to do with that. And as a result, I feel it's good. The only comparison would be 9/11. And when 9/11 happened, obviously it was catastrophic and the markets plunged big time. But they responded back extremely fast. And I think the same thing is going to happen here. Once we deal with this, once this is all put behind us, I think markets are going to come back gangbusters because there's no underlying economic reason for it. It's not like the economy's broken or the markets are broken or somebody's done anything wrong. It's just, life. And once the disease is dealt with, then I think everybody's going to want to get back in the game. That includes the people in the market and the investors and everything. And I think the overall word here to clients and so on is caution. Like, just don't let your emotions rule what you do with investments. That's the wrong response. Let your, if you're well invested, well diversified, the proper risk tolerance, really, as terrible as it sounds, it is going to come back and your investments will return. They're taking a beating now, no question, but that's not for a forever thing.
That's a good point, Brian. And Corey, just before this coronavirus kind of hit, what were the economists and the fund managers saying? Like, I know you and I and Brian were doing a tour there, but what were you picking up just prior to this, as far as where we're at in the cycle?
It's been a long bull market that we've been in for a while, but some of the, had pretty positive economic numbers across the board. Low unemployment, housing starts were very good. Corporations were spending a little bit. I think most of the Q4 numbers that came through were good. I think you saw, the stock market was, at all-time highs. And I think, there was questions as to, are we going higher from here? And there's probably a few indicators that would have said yes. We're in a U.S. election year, and historically, the market performs well during that period. A low rate environment, like I said, it's kind of spurring on the consumer to continue to spend. So I don't, there's always what's the black swan out there? And I can certainly say there was nobody in the investment world that would have said on January 1st that by the end of February, there was a black swan that was going to be a pandemic.
Isn't that the truth? And it's funny how much the Dow is getting hit too. Some of these very secure companies that we've really put a lot of faith into the past, but there's been a really good pullback on those. Probably some good opportunities. Is anybody asking about those at this point?
Certainly, I would say, I think, of course, I think there's probably, surprising enough, there's a lot of people in the financial community right now that can't believe the activity that's actually going on. If you look out 2 years from now, as I said earlier, like this will probably be, such an incredible time to enter into the market. Is MasterCard and Visa going to go to zero? Is Apple going to disappear? Are Canadian banks going to disappear? Is Air Canada going to go to zero? And these are kind of the worries that people have, but the reality is we don't have any point in history since the markets have been tracked where the markets didn't recover and move higher.
Right. That's a good point.
One of the things that I think this has proven is the fact that if you're investing and a variety of investments invest in tech. I'm not saying you should be all in tech, but I'm just saying that one of the things that this has proven to us is the value of technology. Like if this had happened 20 years ago, we didn't have all these tools. We couldn't communicate like this. We couldn't stay and work from home because the tools weren't there. And so, what it's proven to us is that tech's here to stay, and technology is something that we all need. And I think what it's going to do once this gets solved is I think it's going to mean that technology is even going to grow more than it has already. And it's grown significantly over the years. But I think it's going to grow even more because of the fact that, this is something we need to be able to survive situations like this. And keep in mind, this is a baby boomer saying this. This is not, a 30-something saying
That's
this.
right. Yeah, no, and that's a really good point. And Brian, I think that if nothing else, I look at this past week or two, the way we've mobilized, our team and started using the office. I think that people right now are reaching out and wanting to know that we're effective and open, and we are. And our team has been working diligently from remote areas, and it's been great. We utilize this online meetings every morning. Our team meets, and we're on top of things. But we've never had this ability before, and it's certainly being able to utilize right now. Ben's in charge of our marketing. How are you feeling with some of the clients who are reaching out, Ben, on the materials we're posting? What's the sentiment that you're seeing?
It's definitely been a really good response, and we've, like you talked about with the meetings and stuff like that, that's definitely brought us closer as a team, and just being more vocal because everyone has their chance to talk and all that stuff. But for our posts and stuff like that, we're posting things that are helping people, that are educating people and letting people know that we're there for them, and where some people out there unfortunately aren't. So we're getting a little more traction than what we normally would because we're actually giving it some solid information out.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then Corey, how do you think this is impacting people from a mindset or a psychological perspective? Like, do you think this is starting to kind of grind into how people are feeling, and how do you think they're getting by?
I think this has very much become, people started watching, the so-called, train crash or car crash, and, it becomes, okay, I'm getting a little bit more numb, and it almost seems the government has, systematically kind of changed their, each day they're introducing a new measure, a little bit further lockdown, a little bit more quarantine, a little bit. And so I think they've done a good job doing that to kind of let people take this in chunks. And I think the is that there's probably two camps out there. There's the camp that, you know, this is not really that big of a deal. And then there's, you know, the other camp that believes that it is. And I think the society is going to struggle with that. And that probably puts more pressure on business and commerce in totality. I think, as you know, we're definitely seeing the beginning of layoffs. We're definitely seeing, you know, right down to the airlines not flying after this Friday. You know, that these all have a domino effect out there, and I think it's going to probably cause people to really, you know, pay attention to where their money's going. You know, what's the cash leakage that goes on out there. And then on the flip side, for the people that aren't, you know, the consumer spending is going to drop like a stone outside of, you know, what you can get from the Amazons of the world. And Brian's 100% right to say that on the other side of this, there's going to be some sort of violent spending whiplash that goes on from this. You're going to have people that haven't, you know, all that restaurant, bar, entertainment, concert, you know, monies that would go in their budget is not going to be spent now. So it's definitely very interesting times. I think the people in the service industries, the construction, the people that don't have the opportunity to work remotely are, you know, they're going to be so challenged, you know, in the coming weeks. And so, you know, my big thing when I look out as to what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, I think the next big, you know, oh my God, is going to be the massive spike in the unemployment numbers, which probably won't show up for a quarter, but I have to believe that our unemployment's going to go from, I think we're floating around 5%, that we're probably going to double it. I don't see how we don't get into the 11, 12% number quickly here. I don't know how that doesn't happen. So that I think, you know, there's the impacts are coming, and, you know, in the investment world, if someone has the opportunity to allocate in this environment, then I think they're going to be rewarded for that. And as Warren Buffett would always say, is, you know, be greedy when people are fearful, and be fearful when people are greedy. And I think we're definitely in that, in the environment now where people are fearful. And I think if you have the opportunity to still maintain, you know, buying into the market, I do believe you're going to be rewarded.
That's a good point, Corey. And if you had to give one financial tip to a client today, and one just a very personal tip on how to handle the situation from a personal side, what each one of those tips would be?
On the personal side, I think you kind of take advantage of this opportunity to spend a little bit more one-on-one time with your family. I think, you know, there's probably going to be a few more board games played, maybe a couple more walks around the block. Maybe, you know, you're probably going to get in tune with yourself. I think taking care of your health is so important now. Probably, as a society, everybody's going to put on 25 pounds here in the coming weeks, right? So I think it's try to take care of your health, try not to eat too much comfort food, and try not to drink that much. And I think on the money side of things, keep investing, keep the belief, you know, what does it look like in 2 years from now, I think is where your brain has to look, and it has to be a better place than it is today.
Yeah, sure. Great comments, Corey. And Brian, what about you? How do you feel if you had to give a client one piece of advice on their finance side, and one piece of advice for just running their home or looking after themselves personally, what would you say?
Okay, so on the finance side, to Corey's point, I think the market is going to come back big time and very quickly. And we're going to see, as he said, a lot of consumer spending that's pent up that hasn't been expressed. We're also going to see markets, people wanting to buy back in because it's a bargain, buy back into markets. And so as a result, I think it's important. One of the questions we're getting from clients is they're saying, well, should I pull out of everything? You know, should I go to cash? And I think the important thing for them to understand is that if you do that, you lock in losses. Right now, losses aren't really there. They're sort of make-believe in a way. They're paper losses. But once you pull out of that investment and go to cash, now they're no longer paper losses. They're real. And the important thing is you're going to miss that opportunity, because when that market comes back, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody's going to know, hey, it's the right time to be back in the market. It's the right time to be invested. And they're going to probably miss it. And if they do miss it, they're going to be really, really sorry. On a personal side, I think that, we all need to remember to be safe. And that means not taking chances with our health, and not exposing ourselves to unnecessary risk, and make sure that our families are safe. Make sure that we reach out to them and talk to our families and extended families, and make sure they're okay, and see if they need anything, because we're all at risk here. And so we need to make sure that whether it's ourselves, whether it's our families, our extended families, or our clients, that we're letting them know we're there for them and we'll help them if we can.
Yeah, great tips, Brian. Thank you very much. Just looking at mine here as you both were speaking, I'm just trying to write down, I don't want to duplicate what you already said. So I think one of the things I'd want to impress upon clients right now is just to ensure that they have enough liquidity, that I want them to have a look at what their current cash flows needs are, and just to know that if they need $15,000, that they've set aside either that in emergency funds or communicated to their financial advisor that they need that in the coming months. That's worry-free, because that allows now a mindset where they can just have their portfolio growing and working without having to worry that everything has to be changed. The format can stay as it is, as long as we know the liquidity is there. So I think that's really, really important. I think from a family side, for the personal side, I think I agree with you both. Really important to be safe, spend time with your families. I think relax is really important. I find myself, as this is going, it's really easy. I noticed to just start getting really anxious because I'm watching the television and seeing things and the Twitter feeds going, and suddenly you're getting hit from all sides on this doom and gloom. And I just think it's really important to stay current and real, and just relax a little bit, whether that's, and however you want to do that, whether it's exercising, whether it's just reading a book, and just enjoy some time in the day. And, even yesterday in the middle of the day, I just had to step out for a little bit, get some fresh air, go for a walk, just to reset, because there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on in the business world for any of the business owners that we're dealing with. There's a lot going on for our clients who are potentially facing changes at their work. And there's a lot of people who are in just have serious question marks. I just think we just need to make sure that we keep it cool. Ben, how are you feeling? Because I know, like, demographic-wise, you're the youngest. So going through this, where you're at right now, what are your feelings on what we're going through, this pandemic? And what do you think is really important for people in your age group?
I think Corey actually hit on a really nice touch point when he was talking about the people, how they'd be spending money at restaurants, spending money at bars on booze and things like that. Now they actually have some extra cash flow that they're not really sure what to do with. So I think this actually could be a great time for people in my demographic to start investing in themselves, not physically, but through money. To touch on some other points that you guys made, I think this is a perfect opportunity for yourself to learn a new skill. For example, before we came on this little webinar, me and Shawn were talking, and I actually just purchased a guitar so I can start learning and developing a new skill, so I'm not just sitting at home fear-mongering about what the worst thing is happening. And keeping it a routine, I think, is very important too. Just because people are working remotely or not working at all, I think to still have the same routines as you are working is super important. So for me, I still make I'm a big meal prepper, so Sundays I still make my meals for lunch for the whole week. I still exercise every day. I still try to get the same kind of habits I had as I was working, just to make sure that when we get back, there's no lag or anything like that. And to keep everything kind of normalized, I think is super important as well.
That's awesome. Thanks, Ben. And I appreciate everyone taking the time. I think we're going to wrap things up for today, but my intent here is hopefully we can push this back up to everybody on maybe a daily or every couple of days, just to let them know what's going on and do an update. And I'm really hoping we can get an opportunity to have some feedback where clients can actually type in and ask some questions. Sentiment with your clients, Corey, pretty good right now?
It's been very surprising how positive people are for the most part. It's been I haven't really encountered a difficult conversation with anybody's portfolios at this point. It's because we've done a wonderful job of being diversified, the impact on people's portfolios is far less than what the average index market has done right now. So it's that's also encouraging. For somebody to be in a negative position, it's just not as bad as what the negative position could actually be. So I think there's you got to kind of take some of that comfort when there's that opportunity right now.
Yeah, perfect. Brian, what about you? How do you feel the sentiment as we're wrapping up here? What do you think the sentiment is with your clients? Are they feeling confident? Are they feeling good?
Yeah, I think it's been really positive. I haven't, like Corey, I haven't encountered any clients that were really upset. I think everybody realizes that, this situation's affecting all of us. So it's not as if there's anything they can really do to escape it. Whether it's their investments, whether it's their travel, whether it's their ability to go out and enjoy life or purchase something, it's all been affected, and nobody's immune. And I think the realization of that is starting to hit everybody. And so as a result, it's not like, oh, the world's picking on me type of mentality. They're realizing, hey, we're all in this together. We're all being affected, and there's really no way to escape unless you go to planet Neptune. You can't escape this.
Yeah, we really got to help each other. Well, I appreciate everybody taking the time out of the day, put this on today. We'll get this pushed out to our clients and to our feeds, and we'll be in touch again and get some more material out to you. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care.
Great day.
Bye-bye.